What do you really love about slow pitch softball? And what do you really hate? In this video, I'm going to give you some of my takes on things I really like about slow pitch softball in the community and some stuff that I really dislike and also don't understand and think is kind of bizarre about slow pitch softball. Definitely stick around, leave a comment. I'd love to hear more thoughts that you have on these issues. These are just some of my hot takes, but definitely jump in the chat below because I always read them and I like the back and forth. So if you have one to add, jump in the conversation. All right, first, let's talk about stuff that I like about slow pitch softball. So number one, I really like that there's much more focus on self-mastery because pitching and catching are so much different than baseball, right? I come from the baseball world. I was a professional pitcher, and I directly influenced whether a hitter could hit the ball, right? This was a real legitimate battle of like what pitch I'm throwing, where I'm throwing it, how hard I'm throwing it, all that stuff. Now, I know that in slow pitch, like some people throw knuckleballs. I have a teammate that actually does throw a knuckleball that actually moves. I was kind of shocked. Like, I know there is some strategy in pitching. Don't get me wrong, but it's not the same. If it was the same, like teams wouldn't be hitting 16, 17 home runs at higher levels of this, right? So obviously pitching is basically you're just floating it in there and people smash it. And I like that aspect of it because it puts more on the hitter to be focused on self-mastery. And I like that aspect of hitting where it's not like, oh, this guy's just got a nasty slider and I'm just going to go for 3 today. It's always coming in and it's always up to me to select the best pitch. It's always up to me to select, to be disciplined and to try to get barrel of the ball. And then also to work on my swing to be as consistent as possible. And then to put all these mental and physical pieces together. I just find it much more like going to the driving range and trying to smash one straight. That's how I feel about slow pitch. Again, you might not, but that's how I feel. So I really like this self-mastery aspect of it where it's really just I go out there and I can be a little more chill and I'm not so worried about the competitive aspect of it. I'm competing with myself and I appreciate that. Number two, I like that the game is faster paced. Like baseball is a lot slower. For me as a relief pitcher back in my day, God, I hated it when there was another pitcher who was just like wandering around the mound, just slowing down the game, batters stepping out, adjusting their batting gloves and just taking forever. I really appreciate it. The game is just rapid fire. You're in and out and you pack a lot of action into an hour. And if you're on base a bunch, you're just circling the bases and running hard. I really like the fast pace. I think it's a really fun part of the game. Number three, I really appreciate that the game is more inclusive. And by that, I mean because of the slow pitch pitching and because catching doesn't require, high speed, protective gear, your catching gear, all this stuff, it just brings way more people onto the field. And like one of the reasons I refuse to play adult league baseball is because I never want to pitch a baseball again. Like I got my fill. I saw how good I could be. I accomplished a lot of things and my body has absolutely had it from pitching a baseball. And in slow pitch, that part of it is cut out of the game completely. Like part of the reason I would never want to pitch a baseball again is because it takes so much effort to be in shape to pitch. I'd have to be throwing probably 5 days a week to pitch effectively. Maybe you disagree with that volume, but that's the volume that I appreciate. It's one of these things that I did it well for so long with my arm care routine, my conditioning, my strength training, throwing 6 days a week. All these things were necessary for me to be an accomplished capable pitcher. And I have no interest in doing that gigantic workload. And I know it's not healthy for me to just roll it out there and throw 4 or 5 innings. It just wouldn't work. But in slow pitch, the pitching and catching, which is such a hard part of the game and also kills the pace of the game if you can't throw strikes, it's completely cut out. And I think that's awesome. So everyone can go up there and hit. You can go in the outfield if you're not a super capable infielder. There's just a way more opportunities for people who weren't high-level players when they're younger to be on the field. And I think that's awesome. And as a side note, I actually think slow pitch could really solve this problem in youth sports, which is a really massive problem, that there is no intermediate level of baseball for middle school kids and high school kids who don't want to play in this crazy year-round travel competitive level. Right now, you can either play very competitive and it's very expensive and it's very time consuming, or there's like rec baseball for little kids and there's nothing in between. There's basically no like rec level baseball that's fun for kids like 14 through 17, where in other countries there is. I think introducing slow pitch softball at the youth level, saying, hey, if you don't want to play high competitive travel and there's not enough kids or good coaching to play, competitive or like rec baseball, they can play slow pitch softball from 13 on. And I think that would be awesome because you can just run out there, you don't have to worry about the pitching and catching, just go hit, field, throw, and have fun. I think this could actually solve a lot of the problems that are going on in youth baseball and softball. Big side note, but I really appreciate that aspect of slow pitch. 2 more things I really like. Number one, the community is awesome. I love that people get to know each other in other teams. People linger, have beers with each other. Like there's just a lot of positivity, at least in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area that I play in. I think it's pretty much everywhere. Of course, there are some teams that are bad-blooded and are overly competitive and just basically ruin it for everyone. But they overall don't ruin the overall experience. So I really appreciate the community. I've made so many friends in this area, and it's just such a positive addition to so many of our lives. And it's something that I realized, like, I've kind of asked myself, like you're a lawyer, you're in politics, like, why do you show up to softball religiously every Sunday or every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday? I'm like, why are you here all the time? Like, you have a normal, real job and wives and kids, and it's because the community. This is where people come together and like get to be out in the sun and run around and feel like kids again. And I love that about it, and I get it, and I really appreciate the community. I was not prepared for how wonderful the community is in slow pitch softball. And the last thing I really like about slow pitch softball, and then there's other things, but this is my last one for right now, is that this culture of saying, hey, nice catch, hey, giving a high five. There's just a lot of routine compliments and praise and picking each other up for just catching a can of corn, right? I'm playing shortstop, which I play occasionally, or I'm playing the outfield, and there's like a pop-up hit to me that I don't have to move for, and I catch it, and I hear like, hey, nice grab, hey, good job. And I'm like, why? Who cares? Like, that was the easiest catch. Why? Like, you don't need to tell me good job. But that's the world I came from, where, in Division I and pro baseball, it's very cutthroat, and we're expected to make all the plays, right? I'm expected to throw strikes. I'm expected to eat up 6 innings. You're expected to hit 270 and get your hits and run the base. Like, everything is expected. And so you only really get praise when you like do really exceptional things, right? We just kind of don't waste our breath. And I didn't realize how negative that was until I've come here, and it's like, oh, it's nice to compliment each other, even though it was like the easiest catch you've ever seen. It's still nice to like send that vibe out into the world, right? And for me, I have to remember to do that sometimes, because I'll see like a routine fly ball hit to a teammate and they made the catch that I expected them to make, that they expected to make. And I feel like, no, you tell them good job. Not because you don't think it was, but just because like it's the right thing for this vibe, right? And that's what it was when you're a little kid playing baseball or softball. And it's nice that it's like that again. That's honestly been really like a healing part for me. So I really appreciate that aspect. And I have to remind myself still sometimes that I'm not in that previous world, and that I just need to throw out high fives and just be part of it, because it makes me feel good. And I think that makes everyone feel good. So I really appreciate that aspect of our game, slow pitch softball. All right. Let's go to the hotter takes, things I don't like about slow pitch and things that I think are bizarre and strange and weird and stupid. All right, so number one, the really short and often lack of warm-ups in general. I think warm-ups are a really underrated part of how you get better as a player long-term. And if you just show up 10 minutes before the game and you make 12 throws to your partner, you're not really, A, giving the throwing volume to get your arm in shape, so your arm's never in good condition, and B, you don't have anything to work on. Like for me as a pitcher, every time I touched the ball, I was doing some pitching drill or going through my actual mechanics. So every time I threw in practice, like really, which is a pregame, it was making me better or keeping me sharply tuned to pitch a ball well. Now, when you just show up 5 minutes before the game and you just make 12 quick throws, your arm is just getting worse over time, right? If you take 3 swings and then you get your 4 bats in the game, and then you don't practice during the week, you never get better at hitting that way. Not really. So I don't like the culture where everyone just like shows up just before the game time. I think if we as a community started showing up just a little bit earlier and said like, hey, make sure you get here early and throw 30 throws and just do a little more, I think everyone would benefit from it. I'm not naive to the fact that we're not going to do that. Everyone has busy lives as a rec sport. But I just don't love the short warm-ups. I wish there were more people who would want to be Johnny Tryhard like me and show up a little earlier and like do some fun stuff and actually get ready for the game. Number 2, the short games. I think 50-minute cutoff time is lame. I don't like if we're playing 6 innings or 7 innings, like let's just play them all out. It doesn't go much farther. I get that we're, the fields are municipal fields and they're tightly, like there's one game after the next, but it just kind of sucks when your game gets cut short at like 50 minutes on the dot when we probably could have fit in another half inning or an inning, whatever. Number 3, and this is a big one. I really dislike this idolatry of high exit velocities that you see in social media. And this is a problem just the same in baseball and in fast pitch. And it's just this cherry picking thing where, and it's social media in general everywhere, right? Happy family, they take this photo of themselves. Their life looks perfect on social media. What we don't see is like, oh, they're actually fighting a lot, or they live a pretty normal life like everyone else. We just cherry pick the stuff we put on social media. And in the slow pitch softball scene, what I've noticed, especially on TikTok and Instagram, is there's just dudes hitting 115 mile per hour line drives, balls like into the stratosphere, and the radar velocity is displayed, but we don't know anything about the ball. It might be a 700 compression, like home run derby ball, and we don't know anything about the bat either in most cases. And look, there are some dudes who can legit hit 115 miles per hour off the tee, and I'm not taking anything away from them. It's impressive. I see it and I go, wow, just the same as anyone. But a lot of people are doing this thing where because you get views for how hard you hit it and how far you hit it, they're using shaved bats. They're probably taking steroids. There's a lot of bad stuff that goes into putting on this fake display of power that then makes everyone else think, oh, if I don't hit the ball that hard, like I'm a loser, right? It happens the same in youth baseball. You see a video of this 17-year-old phenom throwing 98 miles per hour, and all these other 17-year-olds who throw 82, 83, 84, 85, who are very good. I didn't throw even that hard when I was a 16-year-old. They think they're losers because they don't throw 98 like this one outlier kid. And that's one of the really big harms of social media. And I don't like that part of the slow pitch culture where we see outliers, people who are just amazing and people who are amazing, plus doing steroids, plus using an illegal bat, plus using an illegal ball. And we think that's what a good player looks like, and it's not real life. Is that going to improve? Probably not, because social media pays out if you get a lot of views, but it's part of the game that I think is really unhealthy for everyone involved. Another thing I hate about slow pitch softball culture is this idolatry of the cut swing. It's just not as big of a deal as everyone thinks. For most players who are not elite level slow pitch softball players, the cut swing is just not that big of a deal. It's just not. If you have a little bit of uppercut swing, which I'm not saying is the best way to swing, but if you have a little bit of uppercut, you hit a missile of a line drive over the infield and it has some topspin, it's still a solid single and might roll through the gap, right? Really, the cut swing, it helps you keep the ball in the ballpark when you're out of home runs or you don't want to hit a home run. Like, I sometimes try to cut swing when our team is out of home runs. I understand the role of it, but there's this weird idolatry in social media where people are like, cut swing, cut swing, cut swing. And it's like, it's just a line drive. I get that they look impressive. I'm in awe of some of them, just like you are, but it's just a line drive. And it's just a single, or it's just a double, or it hangs in the air long enough and they catch it. Like, I get the point of it, but it's just this weird, like, just this idolatry of like people are sitting at home salivating about cut swings. It's a strange, bizarre part of slow pitch softball culture. Another thing I really dislike about slow pitch softball culture is the overly competitive people that ruin it for everyone, right? They're on every team. Like, we see them everywhere. It's not just guys. Sometimes it's women too, who are like calling out a teammate for making an error. It's like, dude, we all have 9-to-5 jobs and we're doing our best. Sorry, I made an error. And also just calling out the other team, like chirping and like making it, just unfun for everyone. And look, I understand the psychology of why some people do that, right? They're out there trying to prove to themselves, to other people, who they wish they were, right? This is part of the reason I feel so good about slow pitch softball. Is like, I had my baseball career. I got to prove how good I was. I got to prove how tough I was. I did all those things. I don't have anything to prove to anyone. And most of my teammates don't either. And we just get to have a laid back, fun time. But other people can ruin that for us at times. I think more often than not, people need to speak up about bad behavior on teams and not tolerate it and have honest conversations with people. But the problem is those conversations are hard, where it's like, hey man, look, I know you're competitive. I know you want to win. We want to win. But like, the vibe on our team is more important than winning. And the vibe of this community as a whole is more important than winning, or more important than this one call. And in games where the final scores are 17-12, any individual call is just not that big of a deal, right? Where it doesn't go your way or whatever. So it's a big frustration, I think, for everyone when these overly competitive people get chirpy, cause conflicts, sometimes cause like legitimate squabbles and fights. It's part of the game. It's part of sports. It's part of being competitive. I get it, but it sucks. And my last one, I really dislike in slow pitch this crazy focus on bats. And look, I review bats and I've been sent bats and I think it's interesting. I like the technology. It's cool, but like, I don't get it. Like, I've hit home runs with all the bats I own pretty much, including one-piece aluminum alloy, why am I going to be obsessed with the bat that I use? And like, I just don't really get the culture, especially with much bigger, harder hitting players than me who hit a ball 450 feet. Like, it's 50 feet off the ground when it goes over the fence. Why do you care what bat? Why do you need a hotter bat? Like, I don't get it. I really don't get it. In a lot of ways, the slow pitch softball dimensions make no sense. Like in baseball, the field's way bigger and they're using wood. And in slow pitch, these fields are way smaller. I know like the highest level of men's, they're playing at maybe 330, 360 at center, maybe 380 on some fields. And that makes more sense. But even then, you'd think you would just start to rein in the bats to fit the field better, where a home run is a special thing rather than I've watched some of these games on the USSSA, YouTube channel where they're hitting like 18 to 17 home runs a game per team. And I'm like, just go to the drive. Like, there's just, let's call this what it is. It's a driving range. Like, I don't get it, especially for bigger players who have so much clearance, who are like Aaron Judge, where they can just hit off the end cap and it'll still go out. I just don't get it. So that's my wrap up. Those are all my positive hot takes, my negative hot takes. Leave me a comment below. Fill me in. If you get the bat thing, let me know. If there's something else that you really like or dislike, I'd love to hear it. Join the talk, the community below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you here in the next video.